Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chicago Med recap: a crossover, a character near death, and Glee's Jessalyn Gilsig joins cast. A new episode of Chicago Med aired on March 5. The new installment picked up soon after the last episode ended, as Dr. Mitch Ripley received some bad news from Dr. Hannah Asher. Asher broke up with Ripley for good, feeling that he was spiraling and not the same person as when they got together. It continued the downward spiral for Ripley, who had been drinking too much and getting in bar fights. Ripley also got suspended from Med when he tried to treat a patient he had beaten up previously. The new episode from Wednesday night was called Down in a Hole, referring to what would happen later. Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 15 Recap. The March 5 episode opened with Dr. Mitch Ripley driving through the woods. As Dr. John Frost called, Ripley got distracted. He reached toward the cell phone to hang up and ran into the back of a car. Ripley discovered the car had been abandoned. He called out for anyone nearby, and he soon found a woman and her daughter trapped in an abandoned well. Ripley called for help, and the Chicago Fire Department arrived for a rescue. The team was led by Randy Mouch McColland, Christian Stolt. Mouch and his crew began digging a second hole next to the well to create a tunnel between them. When they got to the woman, Mouch found her leg beyond repair and caught on metal. Ripley went down to amputate it to save her life. They got the kid out. Ripley amputated the woman's leg, and they began to lift out the woman. Then there was a cave-in with Mouch and Ripley still down there. Mouch evaded the debris, but Ripley was trapped. Dr. Daniel Charles Oliver Platt arrived on scene to talk to Ripley over the radio and offer a friendly voice. Ripley talked negatively about himself based on recent events, while Charles tried to talk him up. Meanwhile, Mouch and the CFD tried to rescue Ripley before he ran out of air. More from the March 5 Chicago Med episode. Back at Med, a former co-star of Dr. Frost came by for a visit. It was the woman who had played his mother on a TV show. After they chatted for a minute, Frost retreated to the bathroom, where he threw up. Something was going on. He later shared that the woman had stepped up as a parental figure when his parents were more worried about making money off his celebrity. But he was very uncomfortable. She will return for future episodes where we will learn more. Glee's Jessalyn Gilsig has joined the Chicago Med cast as Ainsley Town. She will interact more with Frost during the next new episode. Dr. Hannah Asher learned her sister was pregnant. She also learned about Ripley's situation after she finished a procedure on a patient. The entire hospital was worried after hearing Ripley had been trapped. The episode ended with Ripley being brought out of the hole. He lost consciousness and then stopped breathing. Asher arrived and tried to help him, telling Ripley she loved him too. Ripley opened his eyes, breathed in, and the screen faded to black. More news from the One Chicago shows. Eamon Walker is returning to Chicago Fire. He plays Chief Wallace Bowden. Luke Mitchell is a new dad. The Chicago Med star welcomed a baby with his wife. The latest episode of Chicago Med brought the intensity and heart that fans have come to expect, with an added bonus. Jessalyn Gilsig, known for her role in Glee, made her much-anticipated debut in the emergency department. The episode was a thrilling roller coaster, packed with high stakes, emotional moments, and a gripping crossover that pulled in characters from Chicago Fire and Chicago PD. It was an unforgettable night, marked by a dramatic brush with death and Gilsig's compelling performance as a new, powerful character. The opening of the episode set the tone, a horrific car accident on the busy streets of Chicago, involving several victims trapped in a mangled wreck. It was the kind of crisis that could have easily overwhelmed any team, but the heroes of Med were ready to respond. Dr. Will Halstead, Nick Gelfus, led the charge, coordinating the rescue efforts with ease. Though his mind was also occupied by the patient he was already treating, his younger brother, Jay Halstead, Jesse Leesoffer, from Chicago PD, who was involved in the crash while responding to an emergency. Will's face tightened as he saw the blood seeping from Jay's side, the echo of their brotherly bond evident in the tension. Dr. Natalie Manning, Tori DeVito, was at the helm of the trauma bay, working side by side with Dr. Ethan Choi, Brian T., and April Sexton, Yaya DaCosta. The ER was chaos as they tended to multiple victims, but it wasn't until they brought in a critically injured patient, an off-duty firefighter from Chicago Fire, none other than Matt Casey, Jesse Spencer, that things took a turn for the worse. Matt was in bad shape. He was unconscious, with several internal injuries that required immediate surgery. The entire team came together, each physician stepping up to do their part. Yet, as Will and the team worked to stabilize Matt, it became clear that he wasn't responding as expected. His vitals began to drop, and the room filled with tension. The pressure was on. With the Halstead brothers in the same room, things couldn't have been more personal. Will's voice trembled as he barked orders to the surgical team, trying to keep it together, though his concern for Jay gnawed at him. Meanwhile, over in the ICU, a mysterious new patient entered the scene. Gilsig's character, Dr. Lucy Adams, was introduced with immediate gravitas. A renowned surgeon who had just relocated from a prestigious hospital in New York, Dr. Adams was both confident and composed. She entered with the kind of energy that demanded respect from the moment she stepped through the doors. It didn't take long for her to make a name for herself, jumping in on Matt's case and suggesting a more aggressive surgical procedure that no one had considered. "What do you think you're doing?" Will barked as Dr. Adams examined Matt's chart. The tension was palpable as the two doctors locked eyes. "I'm saving his life," she replied coolly. Her demeanor was professional, yet there was a sense of mystery surrounding her character. Will wasn't used to having his authority challenged, and there was an undeniable push and pull between the two as they worked together on the critical surgery. In the background, Dr. Choi offered Will a look of concern, recognizing the growing friction. Back in the trauma bay, as the team continued to stabilize Jay, it became apparent that the Halstead brothers' bond was being tested in real time. Jay's injuries were severe, and with every passing minute, it seemed less likely that he would survive without immediate surgery. Will, torn between his brother and the man he had just met, Dr. Adams, had to make a difficult choice. After a tense debate in the hallway, Will made the decision to let Dr. Adams take the lead on Matt's surgery, trusting her judgment. For the first time in the episode, the crew was united in their efforts. As Dr. Adams carefully navigated through Matt's surgery, the tension between her and Will faded as they found common ground in their shared goal. When Matt's vitals began to stabilize, there was a brief moment of victory, but that relief was short-lived. Meanwhile, the clock was ticking on Jay, and the weight of his brother's life hung heavy on Will's shoulders. He was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained, but the thought of losing Jay was unbearable. In a powerful moment of vulnerability, Will took a breath, closed his eyes, and made a desperate call to a colleague at a different hospital for a second opinion on the best way to proceed with Jay's surgery. As Will returned to Jay's side, the room went silent. The surgery was perilous, and the team had only one chance to get it right. The stakes had never been higher. In the final moments of the episode, as Will and the rest of the medical staff worked tirelessly to save Jay, the scene flickered to black, leaving fans on the edge of their seats. The crossover element added an exciting layer to the episode, but it was the addition of Jessalyn Gilsig's character, Dr. Lucy Adams, that truly elevated the story. Gilsig's portrayal of the cool, confident surgeon with a mysterious past immediately captivated viewers. She's clearly not just another doctor in the ED. There's something about her that suggests she's hiding more than she's letting on. By the end of the episode, it was clear that the team at Chicago Med was facing some serious emotional and physical trials. Matt's fate still hung in the balance, and the fate of Jay Halstead was uncertain, leaving viewers questioning whether the next episode would be their last chance to see the beloved character alive. With Gilsig's addition, the dynamic in the hospital is sure to change. Will she become a trusted member of the team or a disruptive force? Fans can expect a riveting arc ahead, filled with personal and professional challenges that will keep them hooked. As the screen faded to black, viewers were left with the one question everyone would be asking: who survives and who doesn't? The cliffhanger had us all holding our breath, and next week's episode promises even more heart-stopping moments.